everyone, welcome back. Anna here with the Coding Guild. In today's video, we are going to have a look at two AAPC specialty credentials, the CCC for cardiology coders and the CCVTC for cardiovascular and thoracic surgery. They sound very similar, so what is the difference between them? Let's see. We will start with the job prospects so that you can immediately decide whether these credentials are even worth the trouble. Based on data I pulled today, cardiology coders make anywhere between $45,000 and $70,000, cardiothoracic coders between $50,000 and $85,000. Both W and contract work is available for these specialties, although during my search, W2 came up much more often in a 1:4 ratio approximately compared to contract work. And finally, the barrier to entry is lower on the cardiology side. There were approximately 6 times as many vacancies for cardio coding than for cardiothoracic surgery. And we have an asterisk here because obviously one's salary and opportunities will highly depend on geographical location, availability, credentials, and several other factors. But in general, we can say that these two are nicely paid and available specialties. But how do you get there and how to decide which one is the right one for you? On the most basic level, the main difference between the two credentials is what anatomical sites they cover. The CCC is dealing with the heart and peripheral vascular system, while the CCVTC focuses not only on the heart, but all contents of the chest. This includes the lungs, the diaphragm, the thymus, the mediastinum, and everything in between. In addition, the CCVTC also deals with procedures performed on the major vessels, the aorta and the vena cava. Now we need to emphasize that just because the cardiology credential has a narrower anatomical focus, it doesn't mean that it is easier. It is like so because the CCC covers a lot of miscellaneous procedures. Diagnostics like echocardiography, stress tests, or EKGs, but also radiology, for example, nuclear medicine, Dopplers, and other simpler ultrasound examinations of the extremities or the carotid arteries. Besides diagnostics, the CCC also tests on monitoring services. These are the wearable and implantable devices that the provider monitors, interprets, interrogates, and reprograms. The codes for these services have extensive CPT and payer guidelines, but definitely makes them a force to reckon with for your exam. The CCVTC can also cover any of the aforementioned, but in general it is more therapy focused. On this exam, the procedures mainly deal with definitive treatment of cancers, structural heart problems, and congenital malformations. The nature of the procedure is also different. The CCC has a bigger focus on percutaneous interventions, bringing us to interventional radiology territory, while the thoracic credential is more about open surgeries. Remark, this is not an absolute difference. The CCC also has open procedures and the CCVTC definitely has percutaneous procedures such as stenting or endovascular repair. But in general, the CCVTC is much more about blood and guts than the CCC. The goriest thing you will encounter on the CCC exam is pacemaker placements, while the CCVTC has open chest everything, bypass surgery, open aorta repair, lung transplants, CABG. It's a total horror show. Finally, they also differ in the place of service they are focusing on. The CCC, due to its less gruesome nature, mainly involves outpatient services, but the CCVTC is more inpatient and trauma focused. But what does all this mean CPT coding wise? The main sections used on these exams are the medicine, radiology, cardiovascular, and EM sections for the CCC, and the cardiovascular, medicine, respiratory, EM, radiology, and digestive for the CCVTC. The sections are listed in different order to reflect their weight on the exam based on my experience. This is by no means official guidance, only my observations having studied for and taken both these exams. Your experience might differ. To be more precise about CPT coding expectation for these exams, here you can see the relevant sections from the two study guides. On the left, the CCC and the 7 CPT sections it covers, and on the right, the CCVTC counting 32 procedures. You can find both study guides on the AAPC website. I will put the link in the description below. There are some similarities in what these exams will cover. But here we have to remember that although both credentials will have peripheral vascular interventions, for example, for the CCC it will mostly mean percutaneous access, while the CCVTC will more often be open surgery. The only entirely identical section is the pacemaker and defibrillator sections. However, there is a remark to this as well. The cardiology exam covers pacer and defibrillator placements, replacements, revisions, and everything else in way more detail than the CCVTC does. You can easily pass the CCVTC without really knowing how to code any of these procedures, but the CCC will have a lot of hard questions on these. For further information and details on the specialty exams, please see these two videos. Here I describe my exam experience, how hard it was, how I got ready, and what resources I used during the exam. Links in the description below. And with that, we have covered the main differences between these two credentials. If you have any further questions, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for being here with me today. I will see you soon in our next video.